So there we go. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for coming to reInvent, our first AWS conference in Vegas. Really appreciate you taking the trip. Also really appreciate you guys choosing this session and prioritizing this out of what's on the calendar. There's some good stuff happening today, and I'm excited to talk to you about this. We've long felt that it's too hard to find and buy software, too hard to sell software. It could be easier, it can be more efficient. So I'm Dave Zipkin. I run product management for AWS Marketplace. My colleague Barry Russell is here today, and he and I are going to talk about AWS Marketplace, introduce you guys, and tell you what it means to find and buy software for the AWS cloud. So first, a quick show of hands. It's OK to raise your hand for both. In this room, who here is a software seller, an ISV or a reseller? Great. And who here is the kind of person who might be building software that they find in the marketplace? Great. And it's OK to raise your hand for both. Okay. So AWS Marketplace. And I should say, we're going to structure this where I'll talk a bit about what it means to find and buy software in Marketplace. And then Barry will come on stage and talk about selling software in Marketplace and the benefits and value of joining Marketplace for that. Marketplace helps people find the software they need, helps them buy it, and then helps them easily run it in the AWS cloud. This is the Marketplace. We launched this back in April. It's been growing very nicely. We're really excited about the progress we're making, both in terms of active customers and software on the site. We have over 400 titles right now from almost 200 vendors. Like I said, increasing the number of customers and their usage at both very rapid rates. You can see it might remind you a little bit of Amazon.com. It's because we based this on the idea of Amazon.com. We wanted it to be a place where it's easy to find software, where you trust, where you come to learn what people like you think about software. So who comes to Marketplace, and what kind of software is on there? Marketplace is designed for people who are looking for development software and business software. They can come to Marketplace and find it. And when I say development software and business software, here's what I mean. Some software you might use inside a solution or inside an application you're building. That could be a database, a caching tier, a load balancer, an app server. It's part of your running application. And you might look for some commercial software you want to put and use in that application. We also sell business software. And this is finished software that you can run. It could be customer relationship management software. It could be business intelligence software. It could be content management software. You can find both these things in the Marketplace. And you can find them delivered in different ways, too. Some of this software is delivered as a service. So it's a website you go to access the functionality. Other software is delivered as an Amazon machine image, or an AMI, which is an image of the software that you then run on your own EC2 instance in your own Amazon account. We want to have both in there to serve different kinds of people who need different kinds of software. So let me say a quick thank you to our vendors. I mentioned we have almost 200 software vendors right now. This is a small portion of them. We really appreciate you guys putting your software on Marketplace. We're working very hard to make it a successful place for you to sell software. If you're not on here and you're in the room, we'll have you in the slide in the future. We'd love to have you sell software. Talk to us after the show about getting your software on Marketplace. I also want to call out 3 new software vendors that are joining Marketplace today: MicroStrategy, Parallels, and Quest software. Now, they sell really interesting, important software for many people. But in addition to that software, they represent a new kind of software that we support on the Marketplace. These all run on Windows Server. And beginning now, we support software that is delivered and based on Windows Server. We also support software based on a host of other OSs, including Red Hat Enterprise Linux, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, and a variety of open source operating systems. Now we also round that out with Windows Server. So if you are a Windows Server ISV, please do come to us and talk about getting your software listed on Marketplace. So this is a marketplace, and that means a lot to us at Amazon. A marketplace is where buyers meet sellers, and a community can thrive. And there's a great cycle that happens. We bring on more buyers. Well, it's a great place then to sell your software. So we bring on more software titles and more sellers. Well, that attracts more buyers, which in turn attracts more sellers. So we want to get this cycle, put a lot of energy into this flywheel. You may have heard Andy Jassy talk about flywheels yesterday. We want to inject energy into it. And we do that by solving problems both for the buyers and for the sellers, making it a great place to come to find software and a great place to come and sell software. So the first problem we solve for buyers is we make it easier to find software. Finding software is hard today. If you think about Amazon.com, this is what we're striving to do. We love selling things on Amazon.com, but we're also a resource where people come to learn about the goods that Amazon sells. AWS Marketplace can be a place where people come to learn about software, to learn what their peers think via reviews and ratings, can learn what else is out there, can learn what is the right software for their needs based on a lot of the retail technology we've developed at Amazon.com. So when I show you a demo in a few minutes, you'll see some of the things we have made to make it easier to find the right software inside AWS Marketplace. The second problem is that buying software can be hard. It can be a long process. It can be a process that lacks transparency. We strive to make it easier to buy software and faster to buy software. So some of the things that we do is have really transparent pricing. We believe it's very important to make it clear what the software costs up front. And when I show you the site, you'll see that we state very clearly what the software costs per hour or per month. We also make it easy to purchase that software. If you are already an AWS customer, you have an invoice set up with AWS, or you have a credit card already set up. When you buy software on Marketplace, those hourly and monthly charges appear on the very same bill you already get from AWS, and they're billed against the very same credit card or invoice you've already set up with AWS. So streamlining that process, too, making it easier to buy. Whoa. Third is about how we license software. I mentioned we sell software by the hour. Now, this is important because of how EC2 is sold. Back in 2006, AWS released EC2, the Elastic Compute Cloud, which allows people to buy servers by the hour. So when their needs increase, they can add more servers. When their needs decrease, they can remove servers. And they can do this continually at any point they want, and they're billed by the hour for these changes. Well, that's great, and it stimulated a lot of really fantastic innovation over the last 5 or so years. But commercial software today doesn't generally scale the same way. Right? Often it scales by the year. So if you're running an app server that is designed to scale up and scale down as your site gets hit more or hit less, that's fantastic. You can do that with EC2. But if you're running some commercial software on top of it, well, if you scale up, you're going to buy another year's worth of license. It makes it less cost-effective and not as feasible. Well, with Marketplace, we sell software that is sold by the hour, just like our servers, making it so that your software can scale as well and as seamlessly as your servers now scale too. So, to recap, we make it easier for people to find the software they need. We do this by basing on well-tried retail technology. We make it easier for them to buy it by using existing payment relationships and instruments, like the credit cards or invoices that are already set up, as well as having transparent pricing. And we make it easy to run in the AWS cloud, both by scaling the same way that EC2 scales, but also by having deployment technology like our one-click launch, which lets you launch servers with the click of a button. So, let me jump into a demo and show you guys how this looks. OK. OK, so this is AWS Marketplace. You can see some of the software we have on here. We added Citrix, their NetScaler suite of products, on just yesterday. You can now buy Citrix load balancers by the hour. We also have, as I mentioned before, our SAP offering, MicroStrategy, Quest offerings, all prominently displayed. We changed these merchandising slots based on what our customers are looking for, trying to put the most applicable software right in front of the customer, making it easier for customers to find the right software for them. In fact, most of the homepage is devoted to putting the right software in front of customers. So let me show an example where I'm going to launch some content management software. We have a lot of customers who like content management software, and they come to us to find the right solutions. So I'll go to our category of content management software. And you can see here there's 129 results. Well, a lot of people have certain either preferences or requirements about the kind of software they can run in their companies. They can be limited to only running certain OSs. So in this case, let's limit this down to only Ubuntu. Let's say we're an Ubuntu shop. I want to find some content management software that is consistent with what I like to use and I know how to use. So here we go. We've got Jumpbox based on Ubuntu. I'm going to go to the detail page here. And the point of this page is to help customers make the right buying decisions. This page should have the information that they need to figure out what it is that they want to run and whether they want to run. So as I scroll down this page, you can see that there's highlights, there's reviews on this page, and there's also the pricing over there on the right side. And we lay out what the product costs per instance type. And the seller gets to choose this price. So we set the EC2, and you can see here that the micro costs 2 cents an hour, and the C1 medium costs 16.5 cents an hour. Well, that's added up with the software costs, which in this case range from a penny an hour to 5 cents an hour, which includes support in this case. So if I've seen what I want to, I say continue. And now I move on to where I can actually launch the software. So first notice that there's 2 different tabs here. There's 2 different ways to launch the software. There's the one-click launch, which is, as I pointed out before, a very, very fast way to launch software with recommended preferences from the software provider. So another tab I'll show in a moment that has information you need to launch other ways, either via the console, via command line, via other management tools. First, take a look at the one-click launch. You can see here I can change my version, because when a vendor provides software, they provide it once, but they also provide new images whenever there's an update. And customers get notified about these updates whenever they come out. So in this case, I can choose a slightly older version. Maybe I have other stuff running on this. I can choose my region. I can also choose which instance type to run on. And you see that I get a kind of a handy cheat sheet of what it is about these instance types that I need to know. In this case, a T1 Micro runs, well, you see all the information about how much storage and compute T1 Micro has. I can also change my firewall settings, which is to say my security group. And the software seller can actually recommend a security group. So they can say, hey, this is a website, so we've got to have port 80 and port 443 open. A customer can then choose to just opt in and use their recommended group, or use one of their own groups. And of course, a key pair as well. And then I launch. And this spins up the server. You'll see it in the console. You'll see it in other places in the marketplace. And in a few moments, we have our server launched running WordPress. Now, a quick second example is for a piece of software that's more about inserting into an existing solution. Right? This is a NoSQL database called Couchbase that people use as the database tier when they're building applications. Well, here I did a search for Couchbase. And again, I can see multiple different kinds of Couchbase. Some include support. Some doesn't include support. Well, I'm going to launch it, or go to the detail page. Again, I can read all about it. You see the pricing block down on the bottom right shows, again, the price for EC2, and also the price per hour for the software. In this case, it's 49 cents per hour, and then varied EC2 costs. Once I see what I need to know, I say continue. And this time, instead of doing one-click launch, I'm going to go to the EC2 console, because this generally will be inserted into an existing set of scripts or tools that I'm already using. So I can go down to read all about the details of this product, including the AMI IDs. And here I'm going to go modify a script that I have and copy in my new AMI IDs. So if I'm planning to launch with scripts, I can do it that way. I can also easily launch with the AWS console for a little more control than Marketplace gives you. So I can click on the Launch with Console button, and you'll see it takes me right into the EC2 console at the point where I've already chosen an AMI to launch. And now I can go through the quick launch wizard and choose a slightly higher grain level of configuration. I can choose my VPC. I can also choose what user data to enter, information about my EBS volumes, and so on. Then when I've set enough things, I will launch it the same way I launch otherwise. And now I've just launched Couchbase DB, running by the hour, and again, charging to my account by the hour. 49 cents per hour for software, and then the EC2 pricing varies as expected. Now I'm going to a place called Your Software now. And Your Software shows all the subscriptions that I already have to software. In this case, I've got my NoSQL Couchbase subscription, which you see is running there. I also have WordPress that I launched a few minutes ago. Now, when I go in to drill into this information, I see the instance types that I'm running. I see the version it's running on. And I also see a link I can click on that takes me to actually manage that server. In this case, WordPress has a management page. And when I click on this link, it takes me right to the server, to the page where I would go to actually configure WordPress and get it up and going. So I've launched WordPress, haven't had to go to the console, haven't had to go to the command line. I simply can one-click launch it, and then go straight to that instance to manage it. Okay, great. So I want to end my part with 2 quick customer examples. The first is Tengen. Tengen is a company that sells the MongoDB open source NoSQL database. They've been on our site since the beginning. They have a lot of very excited customers, but one in particular is Brightcove. So Brightcove is a leader in online video distribution and delivery. There's a very, very, very good chance that everybody in this room has watched a Brightcove delivered video. You may not see their name on it, but they are everywhere, and they deliver quite a bit of videos. So Brightcove, in fact, delivers a tremendous amount of videos, and part of their offering is an analytics package, too, so that customers of Brightcove can understand where people are watching their videos, which ones are succeeding, which ones are not doing as well. And they're building this analytics engine based on MongoDB. MongoDB captures all those records and brings it into the engine. And Brightcove is using the AWS Marketplace version of MongoDB to do this. So they see those benefits of being notified whenever there's an update. They can quickly deploy and add the latest version of MongoDB into their systems. Another example to call out is SAP. Now, in the keynote yesterday, if you saw Andy Jassy talk, the president of SAP came out to talk about HANA 1 and how SAP is partnering with AWS. Well, SAP HANA is a real-time data analytics platform. It's designed to do massive processing of a lot of data in real time. It's great for natural language processing, for understanding retail trends, for doing genome processing. It has this huge, broad set of capabilities. It's very, very robust. And typically, it's delivered on custom hardware by a small set of partners. It takes a number of weeks, if not months, to get this hardware set up and installed in a data center. And you can imagine the cost is high as well. SAP HANA 1 is an on-demand version of HANA. Same product, but it runs on AWS. And it's delivered via Marketplace for $1 an hour. So the software there is $1 an hour, and the underlying instance is about $250 an hour. And it's a beefy instance. It's called a CC2. It's got about 60 gigabytes of memory. I believe it has 16 cores of processing. It's really good for this kind of in-memory database processing that HANA 1 is. So we launched this a few weeks ago. We already have many companies, large and small, who are building their own analytics workloads right on this. They haven't had to contract with these large companies to get these databases installed and delivered onto the custom hardware and put into their own data centers. They get fast access very easily on demand. And again, they pay $1 an hour for it, plus $250 an hour for the hardware that underlies it. So I mentioned earlier how we're a marketplace. And that means solving important problems for people buying software and also solving important problems for people selling software. So let me introduce Barry Russell, who runs BD for AWS Marketplace. Many of you have talked to him already. And he'll talk a bit about Marketplace for the software seller.
Great. Thanks, David. So as David mentioned with the SAP example, there are a lot of benefits that we feel we're delivering to the ISV partner by running their software on Marketplace and being able to list it for sale to AWS customers. And I just wanted to go through a few of those benefits and then also call a couple partners up on stage to talk about some real-life examples of what they're doing to transition their parts of their business to the AWS Marketplace. It is a little sticky. OK. So the first bit of feedback that we've heard from ISV partners that are listing on AWS Marketplace is that we help to short-circuit the sales cycle in many cases with all size customers. And one of the ways that we do that is by enabling both field sales force and demand gen engines that they're running to drive customers to the marketplace as a fulfillment channel. And for example, we know that customer acquisition is expensive. We have a field sales force that must be compensated. We have marketing that must be done. We have customer acquisition campaigns that must be driven. And by driving those customers to the marketplace, there are a couple things that are short-circuited. One is the license agreement. So your license agreement is actually embedded inside of the one-click that David talked about. So when a customer signs up to use your software, they're actually agreeing to your license terms. The second is that you control the pricing on the marketplace. that pricing that's displayed is not negotiated by those customers. So that part of the sales cycle, where you typically have to negotiate with a customer over the pricing terms of a perpetual or long-term license, that goes away. And the third part is the overall contract. That agreement that the customer is signing up to use your software, again, is embedded inside that one-click experience. So those three components of the customer sales cycle, those get driven into Marketplace and shortened in many cases but from a matter of months and even weeks in some cases to minutes, depending on the customer size. And there are several examples of this happening with our ISV partners, both for small customers as well as Fortune 250 customers, who are using the software in the Marketplace through ISV sales channels to fulfill their product needs. The second benefit that we drive for ISV partners is awareness of your product. So like David mentioned, the goal of AWS Marketplace is to be similar in how we drive customer demand as we do on an Amazon.com as an example. So driving customer demand is something that we do proactively, showcasing specific types of software and use cases, as well as individual campaigns that we can drive with you and your marketing and sales and demand gen teams. And we do that through a couple of different outlets. Obviously, we have the AWS Marketplace homepage that we can feature software on. We have the ability to do search-driven campaign results for particular types of products that you want to market to AWS customers. We have a number of webinars and blogs that we can take advantage of to get the word out about your software and how it's used to drive demand back to the Marketplace and specifically for your product that you're listing. And I mentioned we also have the avenues such as the Jeff Barr blog, the AWS blog, which several of our ISV partners have taken advantage of with some good results. We absolutely use social media, tweet on your behalf, catch tweets that you're making about new product launches, customer wins, et cetera. We're able to pick those up and retweet those back out through the AWS community. Obviously, that's picked up not only by press and analysts, but also by customers that are watching those social media channels. And then lastly, we have the ability to send out email campaigns, not only for new customers that have launched your product, but also for specific use cases that you want to drive, for new products that you're launching. We have the ability to take those email campaigns and drive them back through the hundreds of thousands of AWS customers that are running different types of products and services in the AWS infrastructure world. One of the most popular avenues for driving traffic to new ISV product has been the AWS Newsletter. When we feature a seller in the AWS Newsletter, whether it's a use case or about a product that they're launching or we simply want to drive more traffic to that product, we see a sharp increase in eyeballs that then hit that product on the AWS Marketplace. And to date, this has really been a key feature for us in helping ISV partners become successful. We're going to continue to leverage this. So as you think about listing your products in the Marketplace, this is an avenue that we can take advantage of to let the broad set of AWS customers know that your software is available. The second problem that we solve is the ability to take your software into the cloud in the utility model that David talked about, while the underlying infrastructure that we provide handles billing and collections. So how do we do this? So when a customer clicks to buy your software, as David mentioned, they have an AWS account already in place, whether it's invoice or credit card based. We then, on a monthly basis, go to that customer to collect the fees that you're charging for that software, and we remit the proceeds of that collection back to you. What it does is it eliminates the need for you to build an underlying infrastructure of billing, billing support, deal with pricing across different regions, and it simplifies the process for the customer to buy your software. At the same time, it allows you to take the monies you would have spent if you were going to put your product in the cloud and build that type of infrastructure back into the product, and of course take additional monies and put that into marketing and demand gen. So we feel this is a huge benefit, and the feedback we've gotten is that it just simplifies the buying process for the customer, from making the sale to delivering the software to collecting the revenue from the customer usage. End to end, it makes it easy for the customer and simplifies for the ISV. So what type of software do we list? So we have a couple of different avenues that ISVs take to list their software in the marketplace. The first type, as we call, is installable software. So what is that? So those are Amazon Machine Images, or AMIs. Those are listed as paid or free. And the way that ISVs currently bill those are on a monthly basis, as well as slicing it up into an hourly format. And then we also enable the ISV partner, and we have many of our partners that list both a paid AMI as well as bring your own license. And what does BYOL do? Well, it gives a stepping stone for the customer, in particular the enterprise customer, to dip their feet into running in a cloud environment, the software that they're familiar with, and then gives the ISV a path to transition that customer over to a utility model if it makes sense for your business. I mean, this has been a path that many of our ISV partners have taken. They choose to list both BYOL as well as paid AMI for customers that are ready to take that jump today, and pull them into the cloud for customers that aren't quite there yet. And then we also promote software as a service providers. So those ISVs that are already cloud enabled and running in the EC2 infrastructure, we list your product, same listing page as a paid AMI. Customer finds your software, and when they want to buy it, we redirect them to your portal to complete that transaction. In those cases, you're responsible for the payment, the collection, all of the underlying infrastructure, but we're still promoting you in the search results on our page. So it's something you can take advantage of. And then the question we get was, how hard is it to get set up? Are there any fees, upfront fees? Is there a certification fee? There are no upfront fees. In fact, the only thing that we require is a simple contracting process, as well as the building of an AMI. Should you choose to list a free or paid AMI, you put your software into an Amazon Machine Image. You give that image to us. We do some vetting and some security checks, make sure that it runs properly, and then we publish. It can happen in as quickly as a week. And we have a dedicated team in the AWS Marketplace that handles all of that onboarding and vetting process on behalf of the ISV. And then the second part is you tell us how you want to price it. Whether you want to price it hourly, whether you want to price it monthly, you give us an idea of how you want your different instance types to run, whether it's a standard or premium edition, how you want support listed, et cetera. And then we get you published and have the ability to feature you back on all of those different outlets that I talked about earlier. So the first partner that I want to talk about has been a great partner for AWS and certainly for Marketplace. It's Paul Wallace from Riverbed. He's going to talk a bit about the transition they've made to Marketplace and what that's done for their business.
Is that good? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
So thank you very much, everybody. My name is Paul Wallace from Riverbed. I'm focused mostly on the Stingray product that we've made available on AWS Marketplace. But in fact, you may know Riverbed from our enterprise software. We're focused on application acceleration and performance for enterprise data centers. And you may know of the Steelhead platform and some of the other technologies that we have. If you come down to our booth, we'll be able to show you a bit more about the details of how those work and how we've presented on AWS Marketplace. But I think I wanted to talk initially only about how we've done for Stingray, and we can talk some of that later on. Now, Stingray is a high-performance software ADC, application delivery controller. And that gives you three things. That gives you speed of applications, acceleration, it gives you caching and so on. It'll make a difference the way your application does it. It'll also, in some cases, we can do web content transformation. We can accelerate web services by maybe 4 times and so on. It's a very easy way to bring about new kinds of ability with your application. And by presenting it through this, what we've done recently is produce the complete range of AMIs, which will cover all the functionality that is needed for this. So with an application delivery controller, you can extend the way your application works. I mentioned speed and acceleration and so on, but we can also bring additional security capabilities for a web application firewall and so on. We'll give flexibility. We'll help you understand how you can modify your application and decouple the way it works. So by presenting on AWS Marketplace a range of these capabilities, it lets you bring forward a much more flexibility, it accelerates that application and gets your reach out there. So what's it mean to you as a customer? It gives you, sorry, why I should cover here, why are you running on Marketplace? So what Marketplace gives to us is it actually gives you much better access and lets you, the customers, understand how to discover and engage with us. It gives you such an ease of access and moving forward with that. And it gives you the very, very simple idea, as David showed, the ability to search for a technology, to match it with the resources that you actually want, and then click and launch it, whether that's through the console or a one-click service and so on. And we've actually produced a range of video assets that help people guide through this and show how easy it is to connect these things together and develop that. Now, from our perspective, that makes it very easy for customers to engage with us and move forward. From our customers' perspective, it lets you, the customers, understand how you can connect with this. It's very, very transparent, the pricing. Not only can you identify the functionality that you need through searching, but the transparency of the pricing that lets you match with it really does give you that additional flexibility. So with our perspective, we absolutely continue to support, as was up here, we continue to support many customers who are already running with Bring Your Own License or with DevPay, and we've actually been available now on Marketplace for probably 2 or 3 months now. What we're able to do with this is put together some targeted campaigns. Now that lets us drive assets. I mentioned the video tutorial we've done. We've got additional assets and so on. The opportunity is there to drive people directly to it. And we've seen tremendous growth, huge growth in the usage that we've seen and the engagement with customers simply by doing that. And we'll continue to invest in that kind of engagement moving forward. We're also looking at how we can integrate some of the additional capabilities, produce more assets, and put together some solution-driven things. So some of the things that are possible within the Stingray application delivery controller is making it very easy for auto-scaling, whether that's auto-scaling directly or through the Amazon EC2 capabilities itself, by producing assets that help people drive that through different frameworks. So, for instance, auto-scaling is something that we can do. There's a control point within Stingray, control point within Amazon EC2, but also we've got partners such as RightScale and so on that provide a framework which lets you build end-to-end applications as part of it. So we can help build that. I'm looking to be able to produce more and more assets that help people guide them through that process and essentially bring more and more value to them. Similar idea is around cloud bursting, very popular idea. Cloud bursting requires you have a connection with your data center, deliver applications from your existing data center through and make use of Amazon EC2. And that's another example where, again, we've produced videos, we've produced demos, demonstrations, and we can drive people directly to that kind of framework with the right partner tools and frameworks that actually work together. So that's how we continue to invest in this, and we're looking forward to continuing to make that, that work for both of us and our partners. Misha?
Thanks. Before we bring up the next speaker from Alert Logic, I did want to point out something that's pretty cool. And David mentioned it a bit. And it's the idea of how quickly the customer can be up and running on the software. He talked about SAP HANA 1. And when I think back, I think a month or a month and a half ago now, when we launched that product, that early morning that we launched that product, people were talking about, well, this software used to take roughly, let's say you could get an instance up and running in 8 weeks, including the hardware deployment in the deployment of the software. And then we saw customers deploying this in 7 or 8 minutes. An enterprise class product deployed in 7 or 8 minutes, priced in a way that they can match it to projects that they're running in a completely utility OpEx model. Just a very cool way of delivering software for customer need and customer value. And one of the things that we wanted, Mishu is going to come up in a second to talk about, is what happens when very large customers, Fortune 100 customers, start to come to you and ask about using software in the marketplace. How do you handle that, and how does that process work, both with his salespeople as well as on the fulfillment side? So without further ado, Misha Gostein, the co-founder and VP of AlertLogic.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks for having me here on this panel. We've been working with Marketplace since the Marketplace launch. I think it was in March of this year, and it's been a great source of growth for AlertLogic. But to get started, to give you a little bit of a background on what AlertLogic does, we're a security as a service company, deliver security solutions primarily to cloud and hosting customers. So our services really are represented as a house brand for security with a lot of hosting and cloud providers. So if you were to call Rackspace, Hosting.com, SunGuard, and now Amazon, we essentially can offer a suite of security solutions, help you meet compliance regulations, help you secure your environment. There's a whole range of services that we sell through this security suite. It's intrusion detection and vulnerability assessment. We're PCI certified at ASV, so we can help you do vulnerability assessment scans. We offer log management as a cloud service, and most recently, web application firewall. So the goal for us is to give you a full range of security options, have them all deployed in your cloud environments, and we really spend a lot of time making sure that our services are delivered natively for each cloud environment. So we spent a couple of years developing our solution for Amazon. Actually took the time to build it natively for Amazon from the ground up. But AlertLogic is not a small company. It's not a large company yet. But we're about a $35 million company today. But it's 100% of it is software is delivered as software as a service, right? But until we started working with Amazon, we literally have never signed up a customer online, never signed up a customer with a credit card. Utility billing was not something that we offered. And the fastest provisioning cycle we offered, because we have appliances that we have to deploy to our customers, was about 1 day. That's about the fastest. The average is about 5 days. So what we wanted to do, and the reason we wanted to be in Marketplace when it launched, we worked with Michael Fuller here. We were very insistent that we were part of the Marketplace launch first. The reason we wanted to do it that way is because we wanted to match the user experience of our solutions with the user experience that people get from Amazon. And Amazon customers, I believe, don't want to wait for 3 days to get their software set up. They don't want to have to pick up the phone and call a salesperson. They already have their credit card number on file with Amazon. That's a huge benefit. That's the reason why Apple is going to own the consumer space long term. That's a huge benefit for Amazon as well, right? We hear from our customers all the time, I prefer that my software bill is included in my Amazon bill. I already know how to process that. It's already been through all the approvals. It's on the bill that I already know what to do with. So if you can be a part of the Amazon bill, that's where I want to be. So that was the reason why we wanted to offer our service through Amazon Marketplace. But obviously there's some complexities involved in that, because Marketplace initially was conceptualized as a place where you can buy software. We want it to be a software as a service product that's sold natively through Marketplace, which means that we have to sign up customers in Marketplace. We have to go through a secondary process where they become AlertLogic customers, because we are a security as a service provider ourselves, right? They have to become our customer before they can use the software. So we spent a lot of time making sure that the provisioning process was very simple, takes very little time. One of the huge benefits was one-click provisioning, right? We have a virtual appliance that we install for all of our customers. One-click provisioning means that they spin up the right AMI, they choose all of the options that they need for their environment directly from the order capture point. But most important for us is that with normal deployments, I mean, we have other deployments that we don't take through Marketplace. It takes about twice as long to spin up an instance, because they have to go in there, they have to go to their console, start an instance, then configure security groups with one-click deployments with Marketplace. That takes much less time. So typically, a customer that signs up online with Marketplace for us, it takes them about 15 minutes or so to get up and running. And that includes sign up with Alert Logic and getting access to their console and having it and being completely up and running, which is tremendous benefit to us because we are eliminating friction and their experience is much closer to that they experience with Amazon. So as a result of that, it's been a very popular service for us. One thing that surprised us is that we obviously have customers with other cloud providers. There have been customers that have been using this for many years, right? And the one I'm talking about in particular, we're a security vendor, so I can't name names in every case, but this is a very large entertainment company headquartered in Japan. You can guess who they are. They've been using this for many years at Rackspace and a number of other cloud providers. Noticed us in Marketplace. They already had an account with us, but it was actually very easy for them to go to Marketplace, spin up an instance, and when we asked them, why did you do it that way? We already bill you for services. It should be easy for us to do so. They said, honestly, all of my Amazon already billed through Amazon. This makes a whole lot of sense to be on an Amazon bill. So they're actually going to stay as a Marketplace customer. That's a very large enterprise client that's actually chosen to go on utility basis and prefers to go that route. So in addition to customer acquisition, which is much easier with Marketplace, it saves them a bunch of time because now they don't have to set up another account with us. They don't have to set up a bill. They don't have to. Our normal billing model is a monthly terms. They can literally consume it on utility basis. So that's worked exceptionally well for us. Another client that I'd like to highlight, I can't mention their name, that it's SRA International. SRA is a very large defense contractor. They do about $1.5 billion in revenue. Works for a whole lot of civil and military agencies. What they use us for is this, right? So they do a lot of consulting projects. These consulting projects are driven by developers. Developers choose where they're going to deploy their infrastructure. More often than not, developers today choose Amazon. So these deployments are literally already in Amazon, but before they go into production, they have to become legitimate. They have to get secured, and that's where the security team got involved and said, unless you get it as secure as our deployments are in other hosting providers, in this case it was DataPipe, you can't launch this. So if you can develop it on Amazon, if you can't find a security vendor that's going to support us the same way, we're going to have to move it somewhere else, either on-premise with a customer or a hosting provider that offers more security options. So we were able to help them solve that problem. They signed up through Marketplace. That's actually how they found us, right? They found us through a Marketplace listing, signed up very, very quickly after initial Marketplace launch. They were literally sitting there waiting and were kind of counting the days until they had to shut down their Amazon infrastructure. Ended up scaling it out. Now they're one of our larger Amazon customers, and they're going to keep on bringing more and more customers. So these are federal clients now that are being secured by Alert Logic through Amazon Marketplace, and it's gone exceptionally well, right? There's a number of other enterprise examples, but the one that's my favorite is we primarily work with small and medium-sized customers, right? These are the customers that appreciate SaaS benefits most. We have a low price solution that gives them a lot of value for a single package that offers a lot of functionality in it, right? We love getting enterprise businesses, but we don't proactively go out there and reach out to them. We've had very large enterprises find this in Marketplace, and because they can buy it and try it without having to commit to huge contracts that are multi-year, we've been able to close very large deals with very large providers. So there's been a running shoe company that signed up on Marketplace again, became a customer. One of the things we do with Marketplace is unique. Because we're a software service provider, we know exactly who the customers are. So they sign up with us. 15 minutes later, our team actually reaches out to them and says, hey, let me know if we can help you with your deployment. We are available to help you do whatever you need to. They replied within minutes and said, hey, we're using Elastic Beanstalk. Can you do that? And the answer was, holy crap, I don't think we can. We've never done Elastic Beanstalk implementation, but literally we're able to support that for them within a couple of days, rolled out an update. They stayed a Marketplace customer. I mean, that's an example of things that would have taken months in a normal world, right? They would have had to talk to a salesperson. He would have set up a conference call. I would have talked to them, set up some more conference calls. This happened literally in less than a week. They were very happy with the results. that's a large enterprise customer that now believes that we can support them in pretty much any environment. So that's gone exceptionally well for us. We're gonna bet more on Marketplace. The service that we announced at reInvent this year is a log management service. We had one of the first log management services as a cloud service in the market that is now available for Amazon customers. It will soon be available in Marketplace. We have a WAF product that's coming out there sometime next year. So we're going to get more and more of our services available to Amazon customers. But one of the trends we're seeing is that customers are asking for multi-cloud solutions. So over time, we do expect that they'll be looking to be able to deploy in Rackspace and Amazon and in a variety of ways. But when they are Amazon customers, we've heard loud and clear from them. They prefer to have their bills be included with Amazon Marketplace. So we're going to continue working with Marketplace. It's been a great service for us. One last thing, we had a shipment of T-shirts that showed up late, so we have overflow of them. Stop by our booth, we'll give you one. Please take them off our hands, otherwise I got to figure out what to do with them tonight. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Misha, thank you. So, hopefully that gives you a better idea of the types of customers that are being driven to Marketplace. And I would just leave you with a couple of things. One, how easy it is to get your product listed, how frictionless it is to get up and running. Secondly, the types of demand gen and marketing, types of customer activity that we can drive to your product. And third, how we can help deliver customers faster by shortening the sales cycle and the deployment cycle. So if you have a phone that has a reader on it, you can take a picture of this. It'll auto-generate an email. We would love to have your product listed if it's not already and you're sitting in this audience. Please reach out to us. If you don't have a QR reader, then you can email isv-marketplace-reinvent, and our team will reach back out to you. Or, of course, you can visit our booth on the show floor. And with that, I'd like to hand it back off to David to conclude.
Okay. Thank you, Barry, and thank you, Paul and Misha. Okay, so just a really quick recap. Marketplace is valuable for buyers and sellers. For the buyers, it helps people find the software they need, buy it, and then easily run it on the AWS cloud. And for sellers, both ISVs and resellers, we help companies market their products, sell to AWS customers, and make money through AWS. So I really thank you all for your time today. These resources will be in the deck that you can download via the reInvent website. We can take questions up at the stage if you have any thoughts. Oh, yeah, or if you want to take a picture of this right now, feel free to take a picture. But this is also available for download. And please visit us, aws.amazon.com/marketplace. We'll do questions up at the front.